Good evening, everyone. Let me introduce myself. I'm Samarpreet Kaur, and I'm a Period Junction Community Manager at Arogya Seva and the host of this event. So, let me tell you a bit about Arogya Seva. Arogya Seva, it's an international humanitarian volunteer organization that is dedicated to providing quality healthcare services to affected communities worldwide. As I work at the Period Junction, which is an initiative by Arogya Seva, which strives to unite menstrual health stakeholders by creating a space where experiences in the field, best practices, knowledge, and capacity building opportunities are shared to propel individual and collective menstrual health initiatives. So, as the current pandemic has impacted all of us in one or other way, so lack of access to period product is just the tip of the iceberg where it comes to the impact of coronavirus crisis on period health. So I won't be taking much of your time. Let's start with the proceeding of this webinar. And it can't be get much better than the introductory speech from the founder of Arogya Seva itself, Dr. Dayaprasad Kulkarni. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Samarpreet. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in today. I think I should, first of all, congratulate Samarpreet, who's a very new community manager on Period Junction. And this is one of her first webinars that she has put together all by herself. So thank you and congratulations on that. I'm sure also today being National Doctors Day, I want to take a moment to appreciate the sincere efforts of the doctor community worldwide that who have put in, their patience, their compassion, their empathy, their hard work, their lives at risk over the last year and a half, tackling the COVID crisis. And this is just a token appreciation on one day to recognize and to honor the work that doctors have put in. So it just happens to, be on this day. So again, I share my sincere appreciation to all the doctors who volunteer with us at Arogya Seva, but also to all the doctors across the globe who've been fighting this pandemic for a long time. Coming back to Period Junction, I'm sure, when we started the first conference of Period Junction and Period Junction itself last year, it was actually a couple of days before the lockdown started. It was on Women's Day, March 8th last year. So it was just at that time when the first patient in Bangalore was identified. From there till now, we have come a long way in terms of understanding COVID, in terms of fighting COVID, but also in terms of being, in a way, having suffered because of COVID in so many different ways. Just in the second wave in the last 2 months, Bangalore and so many other parts of this country were devastated due to COVID. And while the focus has been so much on fighting COVID, on vaccination, and all of these other things, there has been a significant sideline of so many other major issues that have actually lost so much ground that we had gained in the several years because of COVID. And menstrual issues and also women's health issues has been at the forefront of what we have kind of lost the efforts that have been put in over the years because of this year and a half gap. Right. One of the things that I want to mention, I won't take too much of time, is school health. Right, Doctor at School program was one of our biggest programs, and children, young adolescent girls and boys were getting information about menstrual health and hygiene through schools, where nonprofits like us were going in and talking to them. But over the last 2 academic years, that has completely stopped, and that means there's an entire generation that is there now without having access to this kind of information, right? So that has been a big challenge. And I'm sure the other speakers that we have an amazing panel today. We'll talk about various other issues. So we have been trying to do our bit through the Period Junction, through initiatives like this, to bring back these topics to the forefront, to address challenges, to understand the needs of the community. Just today, we did distribution of about 300 menstrual hygiene kits to in a small community in Bangalore. Over the last 6 months, we have distributed, I think, over a lakh of these products across, the board. But that is not just sufficient. It's something. It's again a token. But I'm sure during today's panel, we will be talking about a lot more significant and important issues that many of you have been actively working on, are in the forefront, and we want to keep this in the limelight so people are aware of it and this is not forgotten in amidst what is happening with COVID. So thank you again, Samarpreet, for putting together this panel, and thank you to all the speakers. And I look forward to the session as well. So over to you, Samarpreet.
Yes. So thank you, Dr. Daya, for your valuable time and presence and throwing the light on the given topic. So let me introduce with the first speaker of the webinar, Dr. Shobha. So she's currently pursuing Masters in Public Health from Tata Institute of Social Sciences. And she has more than 8 years of experience in dentistry community outreach program for dental health and hygiene. And she is also associated with Polo B for Periods as a menstrual health educator to remove the taboo around periods and create sexual health awareness. So let Dr. Shobha take up from here. And if you have any questions, kindly put it on the chat box. We will take after she completes. Over to you, ma'am.
Hi, good evening to everybody. Let me first share the screen. We can start the conversation, okay? Is the presentation visible to all?
Yes,
hello?
please. Yes, it is visible.
Okay. So hi, I am Dr. Shobha, and as I am introduced, I am a dentist. I have 8 years of experience, and I have worked in various rural and tribal parts of MP, Jharkhand, and Bihar. I have also worked in Red Corridor area of Garhwa, Jharkhand, and from there on, I forwarded in my career and practiced clinical dentistry. Currently, I am pursuing Masters in Public Health Administration from Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai. And I'm also a part of the team of Bolo P for Periods, where we are trying to eliminate the taboo around the word period. And we are also trying to make this conversation that we are carrying through P for Periods by making it inclusive and making boys also part of this conversation. So very good evening to all of you. And moving to the topic of today's meeting, that is the challenges of menstrual health, menstrual hygiene, and COVID-19. What are the impacts of COVID-19 on menstrual hygiene? So see, there are two types of impacts any disease can have on the population. First is the primary impact, and it is defined as a direct and immediate consequence that it causes on the human health. However, there are secondary impacts of a far-reaching disease like COVID-19 pandemic, and it is caused to either the fear of the population or because of the measures taken to control and contain the disease itself. So we know that COVID-19 is a new disease, and the evidence around it is still evolving. So for now, we are sure that COVID-19 does not spread through feces or blood, including menstrual blood. There has been some articles regarding the concern of it spreading through feces, but there has been no concrete research or evidence regarding that. So till that, there has been no evidence of impact of COVID-19 on menstrual cycle directly. Yeah, there are some insights from some researchers that it is influencing the menstrual cycle of women and girls, but that can be caused due to stress, anxiety, malnutrition, weakness, that is that impacts the reproductive health as a whole. So the COVID-19 pandemic, it has secondary impact on girls and women's ability to manage their menstrual hygiene. Okay, and the most affected by this pandemic are those who lie in the lowest of economic and social strata. They are more likely to absorb the economic and social shocks which are induced by COVID-19 pandemic. So even in the best of the times, we know that there are various factors such as cultural taboos, gender inequality, poverty, lack of basic services, which cause menstrual health and hygiene needs to go unmet. But in situations like COVID-19, in emergencies like this, they are deprivations, they are exuberant. The results are far-fetching and they cause severe negative impacts on the lives of those who menstruate. Because of restrictions, restricted mobility, there is less freedom and choices. There is a reduction in participation in school, work, and community life, which compromises and causes stress and anxiety among the menstruators. So, for the sake of convenience of this discussion, I have break down the whole community into 4 groups. This group is not exclusive. I have just made it for the sake of convenience of this discussion. So we can divide the whole menstruating population. Hello? So we can divide the whole menstruating population in 4 categories. First is healthcare workers. Second is female patients in healthcare facilities, girls and women in communities, and girls and women in shared institutions like prison, hostels, camps, etc. So what are the challenges which are faced by healthcare workers? First and foremost, there was a rush of making makeshift COVID-19 hospitals during the time of this pandemic. And while this process was going on, there was no process to prioritize the menstrual health and hygiene needs of the female healthcare workers. There was lack of menstrual hygiene materials for these workers. And during the starting of the pandemic, there was serious shortage of PPE kits. And this made quick changing of menstrual hygiene materials a task which cannot be achieved by them. And they had to keep on with this PPE kit for 12 hours at least. May I request, there is a voice coming, whoever it is can mute themselves. Thank you. Now moving on, there has been a lack of access to wash facilities as with these healthcare facilities as well. And this prevented women from managing their basic hygiene. The main problem which undergoes often undiscussed is the pain that happens during menstruation, which makes it challenging to work. And during the situation of a pandemic like COVID-19, where we have female healthcare workers have to work for n number of hours, this is also a concern which should be handled. So what can be done? First and foremost is that we can sensitize the managers for the need of menstrual health and hygiene to be the first and foremost basic requirements for female health workers. There should be formative research with healthcare workers for evolving what can be evolved in providing these facilities to them. Second, there can be menstrual hygiene materials made to be available as essential supplies for these female workers at the facility itself. The number mentioned here is tentative. It can be done as per the requirement of the facility and the women, female healthcare workers working there. The third major point is that we must also ensure access to sufficient quantity of PPE kits so that the female healthcare workers can have a break for at least every 4 hours to change the menstrual material. And especially in case of materials like tampons, where prolonged use can cause the risk of toxic shock syndrome. Then facilities should be made female friendly. Not only female friendly, it should be inclusive of the people who are handicapped with disabilities, and the provisions should be made such that they have easy access to work facilities and services at this healthcare facility. Last is that there is a need to consider providing painkillers to manage the menstrual pain. It is a daunting task for these workers to work with pain for such long hours. Okay. So moving on to the next, female patients who are in healthcare facilities. So initially, when girls and women, initially and even now also, the girls and women which are hospitalized or quarantined in centers for COVID-19, they often lack access to wash and menstrual health and hygiene supplies. So if a girl or woman has been admitted to these facilities and they are not carrying any supplies of menstrual health and hygiene with them, they are for sure going to lack these facilities at any of the quarantine centers that have been set up across the country. So it should be made a mandatory provision for menstrual materials and painkillers to be available at these quarantine centers and healthcare facilities. There is a need also to train the caretakers who are trained in personal hygiene. They should be trained in menstrual hygiene as well, because uh, due to first-hand experience with COVID-19 myself, I can assure that the person who is going through COVID-19 or has developed the symptoms of COVID-19, it is a gruesome task to do at least his or her daily activities also. So the patients who are admitted are in dire need of such caretakers who can provide the facility of menstrual hygiene as well. For girls and women who are in communities, the challenges are varied because the composition of the community across the country is also varied. There is gap in provision of water and sanitation service. Those who are quarantined in their homes, they have lack of access to piped water supply or on-site sanitation or hand washing facilities, soap and menstrual health and hygiene supplies. So in these scenarios, there is a need to support the development of infrastructure as well. And there should be provision to separate the shared facilities for those girls and women who have COVID-19 and those who do not have COVID-19. And the provisions should be made available to them accordingly, wherever possible. Now there is disrupted access to menstrual hygiene materials because there was a lockdown and restricted movement. Particularly disposable menstrual hygiene materials that require monthly replenishment is a major task to be procured, especially in far-fetching rural areas. In settings where poorest women and girls commonly use disposable materials, financial stress in these times is also a major concern, as these families prioritize other needs like food or essential utility bills over purchasing these menstrual health and hygiene materials. So there is a need to remove these barriers in buying and selling. Hoarding of such materials should be discouraged. There should be pragmatic purchasing of 2 months of supply of disposable materials to safeguard that everyone has access, and we should respect the need of others as well. It is high time that we promote do-it-yourself designs also. Okay, because we can promote these do-it-yourself designs, and those who are poorest among the population can do it by themselves, and we can educate them into how to maintain the menstrual hygiene with do-it-yourself design. Because they are, by this process, they are safe to reuse and they are disposable and easily accessible to them. There is need to be increased advocacy for removal of taxes from menstrual health and hygiene materials. Now, there is limited access to critical information. Like for some of the poorest girls and women, they have stopped going to school or other such community facilities where they were educated regarding these menstrual health and hygiene concerns. Because of COVID-19, as this all has been stopped, so we must try to search for other avenues or access to technology or digital platforms where we can supplement the needs of these people. So we must consider various agencies that promote menstrual health and hygiene. They should partner with women and girls organizations who are central in response, and they should provide frontline services with limited to those who have limited resources, and they should ensure that they include menstrual health and hygiene in their agenda. In current times, we need to consider the use of alternatives as well. Okay, because not everybody is has a smartphone, so community outreach should be done with the help of radio messaging services in regional languages. Like there is this thing with COVID-19, we have just like we dial and we get a cautionary message for COVID-19. We can do such recorded thing in regional languages for menstrual health and hygiene knowledge base also. We can do telephone recorded messages, etc. We have to just go and search for the other avenues that we can fetch and give to these people who are not able to have access to technology or smartphones. Sexual and reproductive health care services should not be mischaracterized as non-essential or elective. They should be made available all the time. And the challenges which are faced by girls and women in shared institutions are totally different because there is limited distribution or diversion of resources from menstrual hygiene materials to other necessary activities. There is reliance on shared water supply, on-site sanitation, or household bathing and laundering facilities. One cannot go for self-cleaning activities because all of these are shared institutions. There is a limited access to critical information related to menstruation or women's health. There is a limited access to critical information due to limited access to technology or digital platforms, or there is low level of literacy. And there are additional vulnerabilities due to lack of household wash services. So in these facilities, we must consider providing infrastructure or in additional facilities dedicated to girls and women with confirmed cases. There is a need to provide greater quantity of disposable menstrual hygiene products at each distribution if it is not done on periodically like monthly. So we must provide it in greater quantity. To ensure that menstrual health and hygiene information is included as standard health services, and we must ensure that there are provisions for these services to be continued in time of pandemic, despite diversion of the funds to other activities that are needed. Facilities such as gender-separate laundry with sufficient water, soap, drying space, and drainage should be provided. And there should be information in accessible formats to those who are hearing and visually impaired or those who have low literacy level. Now, last but not the least, I must say that not all people who menstruate are women, and I cannot emphasize on this point enough. Okay, the whole approach we have for menstrual health and hygiene is to educate women and girls, but this goes far beyond approaching women and girls. The approach for menstrual health and hygiene and challenges associated with it during the time of COVID-19 should be gender sensitive. It should be inclusive, and we should all adopt an intersection approach which is necessary for understanding and mitigating these challenges. Agencies should identify who are most marginalized and hard to reach. We should incorporate measures to reach them and monitor whether such measures are effective or not. This includes girls and women with disabilities, those in conflict affected, those who are in conflict affected contexts, those who are in remote and rural communities, and those who belong to LGBTQ+ community also. This list should not be exclusive. We need to expand it to formative research to understand context and its specific needs. So thank you for your time, and I hope we learned something new today. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your wonderful presentation. So our next speaker is Dr. Parvani Lad. She is a public health consultant and a co-founder of an initiative called Polo B for Periods. And she has the overall 4 years of professional experience in menstruation-related health issues. So over to you, ma'am.
Hello.
Yeah.
I hope I'm audible.
Yeah, you are audible. I'm sharing the screen.
Sure, thank you. So hello everyone, it's really great to have you all, and I'm really happy that people are finding it really an interesting topic and also a topic of need, so that everybody of us have gathered here and are speaking on this issue. Could you just enlarge the screen? In the slideshow mode, please, Samarpreet.
Yeah, sure.
I congratulate Period Junction and Arogya Seva for taking up this very important and pressing issue. So yeah, let's look forward to it. I'm Dr. Parvani Lad. I currently work as public health consultant with UNICEF and Radar India with Nashik Municipal Corporation. I'm also co-founder of initiative called Bolo P for Periods. I have completed my Master of Public Health in Social Epidemiology from Tata Institute of Social Sciences. So further in this course, we will look forward to forward to various topics. I'll just read for you so that you'll have a great journey. So we'll be on the same page when we discuss the topic. So we'll look after why about COVID-19, why it is a true curtain puller on the society. Next, we'll look after the managing menstruation in a COVID in pandemic. It is a multi-sectoral, multifaceted challenge. Then we'll look after a sanitary pad crisis, which is majorly a period product availability challenge. Then we'll look at the reasons for crisis, the existing coping mechanism, and the way forward. Next. Okay. So basically, what COVID-19 had dawned upon us. So there were many challenges when the country was unprepared. Everything was unpredictable. It was so uncertain. So COVID-19 just gave plethora of challenges in front of us. There was sudden country lockdown. The people were migrating from one place to another without any reserves of food or water, or let's not even talk about the wash facilities. There was joblessness, poverty, the protest, election rallies, the climatic disaster, everything came at once. There was various uncertainties. There was even the fear and panic and the stress. One sec. Yeah. There was many uncertainties. There was overburden of the healthcare system. The entire healthcare facilities was disrupted. The doctors were always on charge, or they were always engaged with COVID, with managing the patients. There was strict homestay, the strict homestay norms, irrespective of the availability of the spaces. There was lack of information or misinformation. There was hesitancy, or there were many hesitancies. And am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Okay, sorry. There was the hesitancy in taking up the information from various junctions. The misinformation was carried out, was thrown on the social media, and everybody was just reading out the facts and thinking that, okay, is this the true fact or not? Then there was also a nil planning or preparedness when the country announced the lockdown. Next. Now we'll look after how managing the menstruation in a COVID is multifaceted challenge itself. There are many divides in our country. There's such as rural, urban, or gender divides like male, female, transgenders. There is a socio-economic divide where poverty and the rich people have been seriously divided. There is also a cultural divide. So like we follow different norms or different traditions in our culture. There is also an age-wise divide where the menstruators and non-menstruators, or the people who menstruate or who have reached their menarche, there is the divide in between these two people also. So what are the challenges which we're facing to manage the menstruation? When we were asked to stay at home, there are many religious beliefs or customs which we ought to follow at home. Some of the challenges like तुलसी को हाथ नहीं लगाना है, पूजा नहीं करनी है, लोगों को पानी नहीं देना है. These are simple things which restrict our day-to-day life. There are other challenges like people were made to stay at home. They were there sometimes like in the chawls in Mumbai, or in the rural areas, or even in the flat system. We have this small spaces where the mobility is restricted, where the little girl who has just started menstruating is very vulnerable, and then she have to think about, okay, if I go and if I take the pad from the cupboard, so will my family will know? Awaaz hoga kya when I'm changing the pad in my bathroom, in my washroom? So will the opening of packet make noise? The women, the lady who is menstruating or whoever is menstruating, keep the pad as it is, so as sometimes because the washroom is not accessible to them, because the washroom is shared. These are small things which the people were facing. The wash resources were very restricted in this time of lockdown. There was lack of access to information. The major source of information for menstruation, for the menstruators, are some of the conferences which some few people are destined to attend. Otherwise, it is the main mechanism of information transfer, that is school, was stopped. So these people, these little menstruators do not know when what exactly is menstruation. The knowledge they have is the one only which their parents give them, which their, especially the mother, gives them. And that sort of knowledge is very restricted, since the knowledge which her mother have is an age old knowledge. It's a generation. There is big generation gap in that knowledge. So there was no existing proper environment to discuss and have a communication about and to grow a healthy habits of for menstruators. There was also stress and emotional upsurge, because everybody was asked to stay at home. There with, so people do not have access to entertainment or talking to people, or they just had this panic situation. Everybody was just talking about COVID, and certain issues, certain health issues, their mental health issues was just sidelined. Then there is also a lack of physical exercise. There are many challenges which people face, and then if we exercise, if we walk, if we even just travel to a garden, we feel good. But this is the major thing which menstruators do not had the access to. So they were also facing the mental and physical challenges. Next. Okay. So what we were thinking and what we were hearing till now was that there is a sanitary pad crisis. Everybody was talking about कि menstruators के पास pads नहीं है, they don't have anything, so how will they manage? So what our government did, or what the institutes or whatever people who are trying to help did. The first one. Samarpreet, the earlier one.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah. So the major challenges people were facing was thought of sanitary pad crisis, or which is actually said sanitary pad crisis, but actually it was a crisis of period absorbent material. Because sanitary, so what is the actual thing? What people were facing was that at least 1.8 billion women in India menstruate, whereas 112 million people only have the access to pad. The lack of access to pad or the period product is just a tip of an iceberg, because the problem is a very large thing. So now we'll look after what are the exact problems. So actually in our TVs we can see कि that ad says कि आपकी बेटी के लिए कपड़ा use करना बहुत हानिकारक है, इसलिए give them this pad or that pad XYZ. So this is exactly a image building. We see that we have always been advertising that period की कपड़ा खराब है, don't use कपड़ा, it is very unhygienic. But the Indian population, the rural area or Indian population for now have always been using cloth. So rather than just using this gimmicks just to sell out your products, we should say ki kapda is good. Whatever material you use is good. If it is comfortable for you and if it is clean, hygienic and dry, and you can use it properly. This is the exact thing. And since if our population would have been using the kapda or cloth properly, then there had not been the challenge to mitigate this menstrual that sanitary pad crisis. Because we already have kapda and cloth at home, and our mothers and our grandmothers know how to manage the menstruation by just using the sustainable way to manage the menstruation. There was also unavailability of medical support and counseling units. When we talk about menstruation, we relieve our stress, or we just solve out our problems just by talking, but we do not have any platform to discuss our issues. Then it was seriously reported that many of the women turned the blankets, rugs, or newspaper into the period product and use it as the absorbent, because the cloth is already labeled as unhygienic, and pads which we say it should be used are really not available. There was also increased cases of UTI, PCOD, or endometriosis, or there was immense increase in the mood swings. Since people were already asked to stay at home and you just don't have access to medical care, there was increased prices, because see, women when in a Indian setting, women do not have autonomy to spend money by themselves. They'll always have to ask to their husbands sometimes when the woman is not earning. So when the little girl is asked to, I have read this interview and I have worked with some of the people who said कि जब मैं एक पैड का जो पैकेट होता है, मुझे अगर वो खत्म हो गया तो मुझे दूसरा लेने में बहुत बुरा लगता है, since because my father have lost the job, or there's nobody earning other than my father, and then this is, I feel that this is just a luxury if I can afford pad. Having this attitude can also lead some of the menstruators to switch on to the unhygienic products. Also, there was an unavailability of the exclusive period products. Like if I say ki I want to use tampons, but tampons are not available at our general stores or at a medical shops. Or the cups. These two products are to be ordered online, and online services were banned. So it's not just that rural or poor population were affected, even the urban population or the people who can afford the products were also affected in the equal terms. Next. So now let's look upon what are the existing mechanisms that our country has. So the existing mechanism which we have is just about pad distribution. If we talk about what are the resilient mechanism we have about for managing the menstruation, or to hear about the choices of menstruation, so we just talk about two things, that we distribute pad. We have this great scheme called Asmita, but the point is that school distributed the pad to the young girls who menstruate, or the young menstruators, and also Asha and Anganwadi Sevika distribute pad to other women, and the other who can afford to go to shops would be using the pad, using the products from the shops. But shops were closed, schools were closed. Asha and Anganwadi Sevikas were already overburdened with the work of COVID, which they have already given. So this was the existing mechanism we had. So what is the coping mechanism which our country should have been had for managing the menstruation? The first one slide. First slide. To manage the menstruation in the emergency condition. So there was none. We do not have a coping mechanism for our country to manage the needs of menstruators. Next. What are the reasons for this crisis? See, the first thing is that menstruation is still looked as is looked at as topic of shame or hush hush, and we are still bound with our customs and traditions, and say no, the menstruators are impure, or the girl is very impure, and she menstruates, so she should be kept aside and she should leave aside. So these are the things which we still follow, or which we still think. So this topic is definitely not talked upon in our homes. The menstruation is still not a subject of choice or subject of importance to our health system, or our healthcare society, or the decision makers, because irrespective of the half of the country menstruates. Even if we are talking about a person who takes a decision, his wife also menstruates. Even if a woman is taking some decision, she also menstruates. Still, the half of the country menstruates. Still, there is no resilient mechanism to deal on this important topic. The pads which should have been included in the essential list of government was seriously excluded at the first. Then it was talked upon, and then it was included in the essential list. But just think of these simple facts. Our PPE kits are not at all designed in a way that women should be wearing it. So also there is another issue, that once you don the PPE kit, you can't just remove it just to change the pad. And we know that pad should be changed in 6 to 8 hours. And the duties are sometime of 8 hours to 12 hours, depends on the capacity of the and the capacity of the hospital. But these women, the frontline workers, the healthcare workers, faced major challenges just because the pads or the menstrual hygiene products are not designed in a way that it will be resilient, it will be sustainable, and it will be very easy to use for menstruators. So here lacks the capacity to invent or to discover something which will be very useful and very easy to use for all the menstruators. There is no resilient mechanism to distribute sanitary napkins. May it be to rural area, urban area, rich, poor, anything. But there is no resilient supply chain management to distribute these products. There is no quality of menstrual hygiene products I myself, when I was working in a tribal area, I was asked to promote the products of the Asmita scheme. This is the I guess 3 to 4 years pehle. So I thought ki if I'm promoting something, I should use it myself. So when I tried that pad, I literally tell you that the cotton which is in the pad had come at one side and the cotton was soaked. And I don't know how the our healthcare system want the women or the menstruators to use these products. You are in a way saying that don't use kapda, it is bad, and saying that you are handing over these pads. Okay, this is the great way to manage your menses and use it. So what we are doing is we are already आप क्या कर रहे हैं कि अब यू आर पैरालाइजिंग द एंटायर पॉपुलेशन. आप बोल रहे कि डोंट यूज कपड़ा, यू आर आस्किंग देम टू टर्न देयर हैबिट टू यूज पैड्स, एंड द पैड्स आर वेरी बैड. So where should the menstruator go? You are just paralyzing the population. So rather than promoting any and saying that this product is good, give them the umbrella of products. Give them the umbrella of products and let them choose. Most of the decision makers here are, and in our system, are somebody who don't menstruate. Just let me tell you that the people who menstruate should be taking decisions for the menstruators, right? Because they understand the plight, they understand the problem properly. So the decisions should lie in the hands of people who menstruate. Next. So let's look upon way forward. What is the way forward? Voicing the issues, first of all. Because if we don't talk certain things, nobody will know that you are facing this issue. If you are in a bus and आपका पैर किसी के पैर के नीचे आ जाता है, if you don't shout, they won't know. If you don't say कि I have this issue, I'm facing this particular issue, I have mood swings, or I have a PCOD, or I just don't like this product, I just want to switch to some other product. If you don't talk, nobody will know that you are facing some challenge. There is a lack of political will. There is a lack of political will and community involvement to manage the menstruation. When a community will be engaged, and when the political will arises, so there will be policies, the problems will be thought upon, and the solutions will be proposed. But we don't talk about it, and the problem rise, in its way. It is very good thing that now we are talking about it. I guess not before, I guess 10 saal ke pehle nobody would have thought ki we will be talking on these issues on a live conference or in schools or maybe somewhere else. But then it's great that we are changing, but we need to be very resilient and very robust in putting forward our issues. There should be a decentralized approach and the information transfer chain, and the localized supply chain mechanism. So what do we mean by information transfer chain? We see that the major information we have is from our mothers or grandmothers, or the lady who is at home, or sometimes maybe some school have now started taking initiative in educating their children, the students of their school. But the information transfer mechanism should be very resilient. Now that we are talking like this, some gram panchayats could be involved. There should be a one period champion maybe in every gram panchayat, and they should be talking about this. The ashas who are already overburdened are given the responsibility to talk upon menarche. But after a lady attends a menarche, nobody talks about her. Is she facing any issues or anything else? Simply, you are just said, this is a pad, this is how you menstruate, and you have to just use the pad, and that's it. Where is the process? Where is the entire process? Why do you menstruate? Nobody talks about it. These simple things, when taught upon properly, the women will be very proper in managing her menses, and she will know her entire body, how to take care of herself. There is let's talk about the localized supply chain management mechanism. If the pads would be made in the city or in the home itself, it's a great option in the rural areas or in the conditions like this, like in the pandemic. So there should be a localized supply chain management where the period products will be distributed to each and every household where the menstruators live. There should be a multi-sectoral approach and the MHM to be woven in the pandemic response policy. As we see that there are many GRs, SOPs, and there are many new schemes which are coming out just to manage the COVID. So there is a lack of this approach to manage the menstruators, to manage the needs of menstruators. Therefore, the menstrual hygiene management mechanism should be woven into the response policy of the pandemic. We should also focus on the people who have attained menopause. When we talk about menstruation, we always consider the people who only menstruate. Where are the people who have attained menopause? Don't they face any issues? They have various issues. They are in the very different situation. They don't know if they have attained the menopause, or is it something else, because people are also told ki if you are suffering from cancer, or if it is a cancerous growth, so there will be a disturbed menopause, disturbed cycle. So these people also face major amount of mental strains, and these people are never thought upon. There is no resilient mechanism to tackle the problems of people who have attained menopause. The sustainable solution and the autonomy to choose the period product should be given to the menstruator themselves. What are sustainable solutions? Like if somebody is using cups, so that is a sustainable menstrual product, because you can use one cup for at least 8 years without any rush. But again, when if you use cup, you need a proper wash facilities. So these facilities, if provided properly, the entire process could be very sustainable. If you're using kapda or maybe the pads which are biodegradable, this is also an option which will be a great sustainable solution to manage menstruation. So we should talk about more sustainable and environment friendly products, which will also not hamper our society and our environment. Like we have just thought ki, okay, the using mask is a great option, but nobody talked about disposal, how to dispose pads. So if we are looking at something, if we are planning at something, we should plan in a way that it shouldn't implicate any hazard to our environment. Also, the period products. So we should give a plethora of umbrella of products. These are some of the products, like these are cups, pads, diaphragm, kapdas. You can use anything. The product which I like will be chosen upon. So people should have the autonomy to choose their products. The most important thing is involvement of all. It may be men, women, old, young, trans, rich, poor, cis, hetero, poly, lesbian, gay. Everybody should know about menstruation, irrespective of irrespective of what they menstruate. If irrespective of they menstruate or not, they should be involved in the decision making and in making the entire life of menstruators great, because this is generally a coexistence. We have to coexist and we have to lead a great life. Next. So it's not hard to be a fighter when you are constantly under a siege. So when we voice our need, when we engage with the people, and when we talk about the menstruation without carrying any shame, we will be definitely heard. So just engage, talk about the issues, talk about your issues, talk about your problems, voice your issues, evaluate the system which is existing. Let's evaluate it. Let's see what's right, what's wrong, what fits, what does not fit, which is old, what should be new. These things should be thought upon, and the entire life of menstruators and the journey of menstruation should be enjoyed. This is a great gift from a superpower if you believe in it. So let's engage, evaluate, and enjoy. You guys can connect me on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. And I'm very grateful for the forum, Arogya Seva and P4 and Period Junction for this opportunity. So thank you.
So thank you, Dr. Parvani, for this wonderful presentation. So our next speaker is Sikhoy Zaidi. She's a student at Georgetown University in Qatar, and she is pursuing her BSc in Foreign Services and intent in major in international politics. Over to you.
Hello everyone. I'll be sharing my screen in a minute. Is it visible?
Yeah. No, it's not visible.
Okay, I'll stop share. I'll again share it. Is it visible now?
Not yet. You have to click and share screen. Yes, are you able to share?
I'm trying. Is it visible now?
Yeah, it's
Still
visible.
not?
Yeah, start.
Okay, thank you. So, hello everyone. I'm Shikula. She has already introduced me. I'm an undergrad student at Georgetown University. I'll be talking about challenging menstrual hygiene during COVID-19. I'll be focusing more on the challenges of menstrual hygiene in rural India. As everyone is aware that we are going through unprecedented times for more than 2 years now, so it has really become necessary that we talk about the challenges of menstrual hygiene due to COVID-19. As Dr. Shobha and Dr. Parveen, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, have already discussed a lot about it. But I'll be sharing, like I'll be throwing some light on the issue from a very different aspect because I have experienced it differently since I'm from a remote part of Uttar Pradesh where menstruation is still a taboo. It was already a struggle to buy a sanitary napkin in my locality before COVID. And after COVID lockdown, the situation is already worsened because of the taboos related to it. Access to sanitary napkins. I'm sorry, I just forgot to change this slide. So yeah, access to sanitary napkins in the rural India has become a really big problem due to COVID-19 lockdown. So there are so many impacts caused by the COVID-19. So first of all, I'll be talking about the economic impacts. So due to the continuous lockdown, many people have lost their livelihood and the list of the requirements has reduced substantially. Economically weak families in rural India are finding it difficult to spend the money on menstrual products. Therefore, they are choosing they are choosing other substitutes instead of feminine products. Therefore, many women and girls in the rural India are going back to the old practices, which is really sad. I'm not saying that they are using clothes or not. Many of them have started using like clothes, but there are other problems attached to which I'll be talking about later in the presentation. So here is my next slide. So I met a girl named Shabana. She lives in my neighborhood. So I talked to her and I was really devastated when I heard her experiences because of the COVID-19. Actually, I talked to her about how COVID has impacted her menstrual hygiene practices and her experiences left me with no words. Her father is a small farmer and owner of a grocery shop, and he also has 5 dependent kids. She told me that before COVID, she had an easy access to sanitary napkins, but because of the reduction in the family income, like sanitary napkins has become a luxury for her. And because of the income reduction, she has switched to clothes as a poor substitute for sanitary pads, and it has led to constant rashes and with painful itches. Adding more to her pain, she is hesitant to talk about her problems to her parents because they are not too open to talk about all these problems with their parents, I mean, even to their mothers. And she did not even ask for the medicines because she thinks asking for the medicines in these hard times, like during hardships, it will not be appropriate for her. So these are the real short stories. I mean, I just talked to a girl. There are so many girls in my village and in rural India who face these problems like frequently. The second big problem is the schools being shut. There are so many girls who are dependent on the sanitary napkins which are provided by the schools. And however, due to lockdown, the schools are like shut, they are closed, and they are not able to receive their monthly issuance. Some schools provide free sanitary napkins, but now because of the schools are shut to the strict guidelines, they are not receiving their monthly issuance. Okay, so migrant labor families are no doubt the most affected people during the COVID lockdown. The families returning to home included many young girls, menstruating women. They have faced acute shortage of menstrual hygiene products and services such as sanitary pads, clean and safe toilets, potable water, and food. Many of them even started getting their periods while on the way back home, and they were not able to gather courage to ask to their male family members to like buy them sanitary pads. Adding more to it, many of them even stopped drinking water in such hot summers. Imagine, so that they could avoid the urination, so that they don't have to use the public.
Your voice is not audible now. Zaidi, your voice is not audible. Okay, then we can take some questions here. So first question is from Kavita Chandra, like how could we emphasize over the disposal of menstrual pads as they come made up of plastic and causing not only heap of garbages but also causing environmental issues. Please tell how to make aware to this society, input society. So can you please, Dr. Parwani, can you please take this question up? Yes, am I audible? You're not audible. Dr. Shobha, you can take this question up.
Yeah, sure.
Am I audible? Okay,
Yeah.
Shobha.
Yeah. No, you go, Parvati. You go.
Hey, no, carry on. I'll just answer next question. No problem.
Okay. Hi, everybody. So the answer to this question is that in India, we generally prefer incinerators, which are there for disposal of menstrual waste. Okay, but there are not very incinerators available, and it cannot be provided at household level. In India or in every household, we are having menstruators and we have this disposable waste. So first and foremost thing that we can do to reduce this waste as it is non-biodegradable is that to switch on to sustainable menstruating to switch on to sustainable products which can be used for long term without creating this menstrual waste, like switching on to menstrual cups. And with my personal experience, I would want to share that being a dentist also, I was so much reluctant to use this product. And I am saying it valiantly because it involved insertion. Okay. Recently, I have switched to menstrual cup, and I must say that the whole feeling is so much liberating. I cannot express that in words. And if you can afford it, it is quite affordable. It hardly costs 200 rupees, and it can last for 10 years plus. So just those at least who can afford and can try, though I understand that every product is not for everybody, but at least we can try to switch on to it. And by this, we will be reducing so much of waste on individual level only. For those who are using and they do not have access or are reluctant to try or do not try right now, incinerators cannot be available at household level, so they can go for burial of these products. Okay, because we throw it गांव में, like in rural areas, हम कहीं भी उसको कपड़े में रैप करके, कागज में, अखबार में रैप करके थ्रो करके चले आते हैं. We are hardly concerned with कि कहाँ जा रहा है. हमारे घर से बस बाहर जा रहा है, हमको इतना पता है. So we must switch this mindset पहले तो, and we must go for proper burial. Make a dustbin or so in our household where you can accumulate for like एक दिन का pad या आपके whole menstruating period का 4 or 5 days, can go for a proper burial of it, because by this you will not be polluting the environment. For currently, current situation, the products available, and this is the only option that we can go, because there are not so much of biodegradable options available to us, and all those which are available to us are non-biodegradable. So first and foremost is that we must switch to sustainable options that we have. And second, we must educate the masses also regarding this sustainable options. क्योंकि हम जहाँ भी जाते हैं menstrual hygiene educators भी जो हैं they emphasize on using the products like pads only. Tampons और menstrual cups का कहीं पे ज़्यादातर जिक्र ही नहीं आता. So second is the thing that we make the masses aware. Okay, and third, we must try to put the effort at individual level. क्योंकि the thing of incinerators cannot be available at every household or even at community level also. I hope I clarified the doubt. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. So next question is from Jay Prakash. Everyone knows that how important are sanitary pads. Then why government is not providing free sanitary pads in rural and urban areas as they are providing many things for people free of cost in PHC, subcenter, etc. Dr. Parmani, okay. Take this question now.
Yeah, sure. Hello, Jai Prakash. I'm glad you are attending this. Why government is not providing the menstrual hygiene products or pad, to be specific, free of cost? So let me tell you, the pads are available free of cost to all the girls in the ZP school in Maharashtra, at least I'm aware. And I guess the same policies all over India. So they are providing the free menstrual products in schools, in ZP schools. Also about women, they give the menstrual hygiene product, I guess that is a kit of 10 rupees or 22 rupees. So it's a very subsidized and there is no GST or taxation on it. So this is all government is doing. So this is the only product which government give is the pad, and they have the subsidized rates. But what we can just talk about what government is not doing. So government is not just maintaining the quality of that product. So this is all I know by my experience. So the question should be why government is not maintaining the quality of the product. I guess nobody told the government that their parts are bad. So let's tell them the parts are bad, and and also just offer more products maybe, and provide to the people who don't have access to the Asha or Anganwadi Sevika or maybe schools, the migrant population, how they will have the access to pads. So yeah, they do provide pads at free of cost.
Thank you so much. So the next question is, what policy can we ask government to bring regarding easing up of menstrual product in counseling? Please talk on some mental health policy of menstruation. Yeah, this is the question. Anyone can take. You are Shobha.
Okay. Shobha, just go on the first part. I'll talk about the second maybe. We'll divide.
As for policy, government is pursuing adolescent health care all over across the country. There is National Rural Health Mission. Overall, it is called National Health Mission. And for National Rural Health Mission, the government is targeting those who are in rural and far-fetched areas to target the adolescent health. For menstrual hygiene products also, there is counseling on a school level also. By Anganwadi centers to school programs. There is Kishore Kishori in my state, at least in Uttar Pradesh. There is Kishore Kishori sessions organized at CSC level and at district hospital level. Where there is counseling regarding the menstrual health and hygiene. Means there is wholesome education. It is available for girls as well as for boys. For girls, it revolves around menstrual health and hygiene and sex education and sexual awareness and everything that revolves around these issues. And this is available for boys also who are going through puberty or adolescence. So the first counseling or first point of reach is Anganwadi centers or the schools where ICDS programs are going on. And from there, if there is a concern and people involved in it identify those children, they are referred to these Kishore Kishori centers, which are available at district hospital in my state at least. So I think there may be the difference in name across the country through which this program is going on, but it is going on at least in the whole of the country, as far as I know. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So in addition to what just Shobha said, what other policies may be implemented? Are some of the policies like period leave, or the counseling centers, or the free of cost centers for women who menstruate, or for the menstruators, for the people with periods, or the people who have reached their menopause, the counseling system, or the system where we can share what we feel. Also the free of cost women, free of cost doctors who should be available. We have also seen that in PHCs, majorly at the rural areas, the doctors are men, and women don't go and talk to them. Even if some NGOs are carrying out any projects, it is seen that women counselors or women doctors are very less, and no other women can go, और कोई एक लेडी जाके बोलेगी नहीं कि हाँ मुझे बहुत ज्यादा पीरियड्स जा रहे हैं, मुझे बहुत ज्यादा खून जा रहा है, या मुझे itching हो रही है in my genital. Nobody will tell this to the male doctor, because we are not conditioned in that way. We are always said that okay, these are your private parts, so keep it private. Dude, that is a body. We should talk about ki this is my body part, this is the problem I'm facing. But we are conditioned in this way that we are always asked to just shut up and talk and just keep our things to ourselves. So talking about things, having a great conversation at home, telling a little girl about menstruation, telling your boys about menstruation will make a great environment for the menstruators to coexist. And also there should be a counseling centers where people can discuss about menstruation. पहले ऐसा होता था कि हम अपने दादी दादा नाना नानी किसी से भी हम बात कर लेते थे, आंटी होती थी, because there was a joint family. Now we are living in a secluded places, in flat system, closed doors, and nobody talks about it. So we just should talk about things. Just talk is the major first step to take other steps. So this is all I think. And about the menstrual products, government, just now we have discussed that is government not doing anything, or is government not taking this initiative? So I guess government is taking initiative. Government is improving the quality of pad, but the process is very slow. That it looks steady. So there should be a fast mechanism. This is all we can say. Next.
Okay. Yeah. Can I add something, Samarpreet? Actually, to my response, there has been an issue that has been posted in chat box regarding breaking of the hymen. So I want to answer this question. See, the menstrual cup does not rupture your hymen. Hymen stretches, and it can stretch your hymen. The use of menstrual cup. Okay. First, I do recognize that the teens who just start their periods at the age of 12, 11 or 13, whatever, most of the parents, their mothers were also be reluctant to use any product that involves insertion, because I myself said that I was reluctant to use the product because it involved insertion. Okay. But here lies the taboo that we need to discuss. The fear of using products who are sustainable, but they involve insertion, why we are so worried about it, is itself a taboo, and we need to address that. We also know that breaking of hymen can break by any girl who is involved, whoever is involved in rigorous exercises, who is involved in sports, running or whatsoever. So we must try to educate the people and provide them with choices. I am not saying that use this product or use that product, whatever you feel convenient. But after a few stages, when we are ourselves capable of choosing and trying what fits us best, we must be provided with the knowledge so that we can make a informed choice regarding the product. Because I myself, being a doctor, have to go and visit YouTube sites to see how the menstrual cup is being inserted and how it is used. Because not many, even in the age group of 25 plus 30s, 40s, I am not going to find anybody in my current neighborhood who is using menstrual cups. Yet they are sustainable and very cheap to use. Also, they come with sizes. Okay. So I know there are other issues also involved with the product that involve insertion, but I am just saying that we must all be provided with inclusive choices, okay, and must be able to make an informed choice at later stage in our life, okay. I know that pads are easily accessible than other products, and it is the first foremost choice for every teenage girl who is going to experience periods. But later on, we must be provided with this choice. Thank you.
Thank you so
Just to add on and clarify again, so it doesn't depend if you're virgin, if you're not virgin, if you're married, if you're not married, you're old, you're new, whatever, you're young or you're old. It doesn't depend on these factors. It's only depend on informed choice, your will to switch, and knowledge about your body. Because if you don't have knowledge, you will not have guts to try these different products. So talking about your body parts, knowing properly your body parts, and being in touch with the expert who know these things, how these things operate, would be great if you are looking for a switch. Also, promoting positive terms. Maybe what is virginity? Virginity is just a flap of skin. It can't define your virginity and your purity, maybe. And also saying that that women menstruate, or girl who menstruate. But let me tell you, transgender also menstruate. So rather than using the terms like women menstruators or women ye, woman wo, let's say menstruators or people with periods. That will include an entire people who menstruate. So we are not exclusively talking about women. We are talking about all the people who menstruate. Also about saying menstrual hygiene products. Why do you need hygiene products? Because menstruation is pure in itself. When you say menstrual hygiene products, you label itself as impure. जब आप बोलते हो कि menstrual hygiene products use करने हैं, इसका मतलब होता है कि आपके दिमाग में ये बात already है कि menstruation is a bad thing, so आप उसको hygiene product चाहिए. आपको V wash चाहिए, vaginal wash चाहिए. Why do you need vaginal wash? These products are just a marketing gimmicks maybe, because they just have to sell their products. Your vagina is very important to clean itself, to keep it healthy. So these are some of the things which will promote a period positivity in the entire society. And if we talk about it properly in the proper terms. So
yeah, thank you so much. Any questions? I think we have finished each and every question. So
yes,
let's wind up.
I guess there was one question.
Yeah.
Just a sec. In the chat box. It was from Anuja, I guess.
Let me check.
Okay, what topics can be covered under menopause awareness? So thank you, Anuja. That's a really great question. So about menopause awareness, first of all, the entire topic of menopause should be discussed, because this topic is very neglected. Everybody talks about menstruation and focus on the schoolgirls, but nobody talks about menopause. Since everybody think कि हाँ एक lady है जो जिनका age हो चुका है, so now she knows everything. But dude, believe me, nobody knows about menopause. Even if my mom, she's panicking कि अरे why do I get hot flushes, और मुझे ऐसे intermittent periods क्यों आते हैं, बहुत ज़्यादा blood क्यों जाता है. So these simple things are never discussed upon, because जब उनको जरूरत होती है तो उनकी मम्मी नहीं रहती है, because since she is attending menopause, it may be possible that her mother is not there to tell her, and we just have one person who tell us, that's our mother. Because so this mechanism should be developed. So how can we do this? So we should be informed, and we should be talking about these simple things. Ki, why do you have a menopause? आपका menopause, natural menopause कब आता है? इंडियन एज सिस्टम में कब मेनोपॉज आता है? जब भी मेनोपॉज आता है तो व्हाट आर द थिंग्स यू फील, व्हाट आर द मेंटल थिंग्स यू हैव टू गो थ्रू, बिकॉज you live in a home, and now the people who would be undergoing menopause would be a havoc, I guess, because there are many mood changes and you have responsibilities to take care of. Also there are certain things ki when we talk we know ki there is a increasing number of cancers वगैरह. So awareness about cancers, awareness about breast cancer, the increasing number of cervical cancer should be talked upon. तो ये सारी चीजें हमें कहाँ से पता चलेगी? So maybe as Shobha have greatly mentioned about from like social media or maybe their kids. If I have a session with the school girls and if I talk about menopause, ki your mother may be facing this thing, and you have a great mechanism, you have a great environment at home where your kid talks to you, so maybe your kid will tell you. And that's not a problem. The age doesn't depend. The age is not a factor to share information. The information, if it's correct, can be shared by anyone. And there should be increased multiple source of information so that the dissemination of information will be great. There should not be a top-down approach कि एक ही person आपको information देता है and फिर वो percolate होती है जब और last में आते तक वो disseminate हो जाती है. So you should have the proper multi-sector approach that we say to share information, and we should be taking care of mental health and your physical health as well.
There is one last question. So at the time of periods, many menstruators have mood off and many others mental issue. This time we must worship, so we would keep us calm, but our society say 5 days of impurity. How to encourage this and cut this old tradition? Yeah, you can take this up.
Okay. So what's the name who have asked this question?
Kavita.
Okay, hi Kavita. It's a great question. And okay, so yeah. So tell me, Kavita, if you could turn on your mics. I guess, are you there, Kavita?
Yes, ma'am, I am here only.
Hi, Kavita. Yes. So
Hi,
tell
ma'am.
me that is a woman impure when she menstruates, or what your mom have told you?
Actually, my mom didn't tell anything to me, but she tell that okay, these 5 days you can't worship.
Okay. So maybe not your mom, but somebody would have told you कि you can't worship, you're impure, or maybe anything like that. So I guess from now on, when somebody tells you कि आप impure हो, आपको भगवान को हाथ नहीं लगाना है, just ask them one thing कि मैं impure हूँ and जो खून जाता है when I menstruate is impure. So it's fine because मेरे बॉडी का पूरा impure खून जमा हो जाता है यूट्रस में and when I menstruate वो निकल जाता है. So tell me one thing कि if I am a person and if I am a lady, this happens with me. If a man or my mother, my brother, father, uncle, aunt, uncle or grandfather maybe, so इनके बॉडी में खराब खून नहीं बनता है क्या? और अगर खराब खून बनता है तो कहाँ जाता है? क्योंकि मेरा तो मैं जब मेंस्ट्रुएट करती हूँ तब तो निकल जाता है. सो आई एम प्योर आफ्टर माय मेंस्ट्रुएशन, माय पीरियड्स गेट ओवर. बट जो वो लोग जब मेंस्ट्रुएट करते हैं तो उनका ब्लड कहाँ जाता है? फिर मैं ज्यादा इम्प्योर हुई कि वो ज्यादा इम्प्योर हुए? So I am able to touch to God then if I am pure. So they shouldn't touch gods. So these are simple things that you are not impure. First of all, if somebody tells you that you are impure, ask them why, question them, just tell them this fact, because now you have social media, you have books, you have access to different people who are working in the fields. So just talk to them, get that facts, tell it to.
Yes, Dr. Purvani, you are not audible.
Hello.
I think some network issues are there. So any other question? I think there are no more questions, so we can wind up this. So thank you everyone for attending this webinar.
Samarpreet, hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry to interrupt you. Sorry.
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention that to all the people that have attended this session, okay, you can follow us for more updates regarding the taboos around periods. We are trying to eliminate the taboo around the word P for periods. We are trying to create awareness to mention the word period by the word period, okay, not making any synonyms or acronyms for it, okay. So you can follow us on our page for Bolo P for periods on Instagram, okay. We are on LinkedIn also, Facebook also. You can follow our page. And thank you everybody, and thank you Samarpreet for giving us this opportunity and very enlightening session. We will share the link of our